We're giving our viewpoints of World Wonders.
Thank you for joining us here at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Kevin.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Ryan. Before we get any further, let's start with a brief overview of World Wonders.
World Wonders is a tile-laying game for 1 to 5 players that takes about an hour to play. Arcane Wonders is publishing it in the United States, and they gave us this copy for review. In the game, you're building your own city full of buildings, roads, and hopefully impressive wonders. You spend coins to acquire tiles, more roads, towers, and other benefits. You only have 7 coins for each round, so you have to spend them wisely. Do you buy several small building tiles, or splurge for an expensive large tile? If you're placing tiles to qualify for a wonder, keep an eye on the other players. Someone could snag it before you. At the end of the game, you'll earn points for several things on your city board, like built wonders, surrounded building tiles, and natural resources you've reached. On your player board, you get points for the end of the population track and for your lowest resource track. The player with the most points wins.
We're going to divide this video into 4 categories: components, likes, dislikes, and then final thoughts. Why did we put components first?
Well, because there are some very distinct components in this box. I don't know. What do you all think about it? I'm more of a mechanics person and less of a components and art person, but I really liked the components.
Being an art person, I thoroughly enjoyed having the components. I did like that these were wooden pieces and not just plastic or rosin minis.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that they use wood and they're all painted.
I know. We're all painted.
Yeah, the monuments especially are very chunky.
Yeah.
Like the pyramids, feel like you could knock someone out with one. I didn't like the little harbor monument because it looks like a Stargate, which is cool, but what is going on with this?
Mm-hmm.
The shape just didn't make sense to me.
So most of the monuments look exactly like what you think, the little Easter Island heads or Machu Picchu or the aqueducts, but there are a couple that are a little weird.
Yeah.
So
I did think there was a wide variety of things, and I think the average person would recognize a majority of them.
And I think the components, like Melissa said, really draw you in. These wooden components, they're big and chunky and just draw your eye. And so table presence, I think, is really, really good.
I think it's also very satisfying when you're done with your board that you feel like you've done something and accomplished something.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move into our likes of World Wonders? We've played this multiple times now, and I've enjoyed all of my plays. Some more than others, and I think that has to do with how well I do in the game.
Yes, I have a nemesis from this most recent play because Ryan kept...
I didn't even win.
he kept taking the monuments that I was going for, but I didn't, jump on them. So I would say... That sounded negative. But a like is that there are some hard decisions in this game. You have that 7 money that you're kind of spending. And when you buy a monument, basically you use all the rest of your money. So it's like ending your turn for that round. So sometimes you're kind of looking at the other person going, are they going to pull the trigger? I have 3 or 4 coins left. Do I take that monument or do I try to get more and then hope that they don't go for it? So I like that there are those types of decisions in the game.
I like that there is kind of a catch the leader mechanic in that if you have progressed on the population track, then you are last in turn order and people can snatch up stuff that you were
there was definitely a couple of rounds, even though I won. There were definitely a couple of rounds in this last game that I was like,
that's the
tile I needed. And I was like second to last or something like that. I was like, I really thought that was going to be, I didn't think someone was going to get it or things so. Yeah. A lot of tension. Good tension.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tension because there's several ways to get points.
Yeah.
Well, many ways. I don't know about several. Whatever. There are different ways to get points, and you have to kind of bear in mind each of the things that are going on. So you might be like, oh, I should take that monument before Melissa takes it. But maybe I should keep, building towards this goal because I'm falling behind there. Oh, and I'm falling behind the resources. Maybe I should build one of these buildings so that I can keep up with that track. So you're trying to have a balance there, and I appreciate that.
I actually like that there's different ways of getting points, and you can sort of focus on one, but you sort of really need to make sure you're covering your buildings or doing. We play with the goals. I like those, most of them, depending on the goals, and then getting the monuments. You would think World Wonders, you would think that the wonders are like, you're going to get major points from them, but you're not, which is kind of interesting. And I kind of like that it's not like, I built a wonder and I just won the whole game sort of thing.
That's actually one of my dislikes. It's because World Wonders, you feel like wonders would be more of an impact, but it's actually a trap. Don't do it. You only do the wonders if you don't have something better to do, I think.
Any other likes before we go into dislikes?
We can go into dislikes.
Yeah. One of my critiques, dislikes, is the rules. I guess the restrictiveness on how you're placing your tiles, I think, can get a little confusing for players, especially first time. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, you can't place that because you have to have a road, and the road has to be connected to the other roads. And it's like, I just want to place a Tetris tile on my board.
Yeah, I would say that those rules are clear in the rule book, but they're hard for people to remember because in a lot of tile laying games, you can put things anywhere, or as long as it's touching something that you've played, you can place it. And there are, like Kevin was saying, restrictive rules about where your roads can go and where your buildings can go and what can touch what. And yeah, the first game or two, you feel like you're kind of like policing everyone and being like, no, can't do that. How'd you do that? Once people are used to it, I think it works okay. Along
with the rules, I feel like the rules are sufficient to play the game. Like, you can come to the proper conclusion, but I think it would behoove the game, benefit, to have some examples and more thorough explanations on different cards and wonders, because we had a few questions that came up and you're just, oh, well, the rules don't really go into it. So
we just made a decision for our game. And
like, what does adjacent to water, if you cover up a water space, is it still adjacent to the water, or is the water not, like, things like that. It's like, we just made a rule.
It was sufficient, but it would have been nice to remove some of that doubt.
Sure.
The few times I've played, I've gotten to the last couple of turns, and I didn't have a good way to spend the rest of my coins. So the last couple of turns were a little disappointing because people snatched. I didn't get first player at the end, which should have been something I should have done. But other things came up that I really wanted to do, which gave me more points in the end. But I was like, oh, I got 3 coins left on my last turn, and there's nothing left to do that will give me any points. So, like, if taking the first or second player gave you, like, go up a track, or, something like that was like a point. Or
if it were a tiebreaker or something. I'm thinking back to this last game. I've never used the loans because they seem kind of steep. But now thinking about how, at the end of the game, you might not even be using all of your money. Maybe you take that loan at the beginning and get one of those big buildings and then pay it back near the end. Could be a possibility.
Oh, yeah, because you're just paying back 3 coins.
We did not use the loans.
I know. Loans.
So if you're stuck with a loan at the very end, you lose points?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's like Sarah said, she had a few coins left at the end. She could have maybe just paid her loan back.
It's true.
Yeah, because there was definitely 1 or 2 rounds in the middle where it's like, oh, I don't have enough to buy those big buildings that are left, but there's not much for the few coins I have.
And I didn't have a monument that I could build that round. That was the other thing. Like, if I normally would have spent this just to get a monument, but we couldn't get the monuments that were available.
Well, why don't we move to our final thoughts? For me, one of my favorite games I played this year. It feels really satisfying. I think we mentioned it before. Just the board itself looks cool as you're doing it. I like tile laying games. I think we all really enjoy that, but I really enjoy what this game brings to the table.
Yeah, I would say that it is medium weight, but maybe medium to easy once you get over that learning hurdle and really grasp how things are laid out. On your turn, you're spending money and buying something and putting it on your board. So I would say it's not gateway level, but maybe a step up for that.
I enjoy that especially if you play with the advanced goals. Kevin had ignored 2 of the goals at the end, and we're all like, what is Kevin doing? And then he ended up winning by 1 point. And I was like, oh, you can just stick to the main goal or main scoring and then still do well.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. It's a excellent tile laying game, which I've got a billion of them, but I will gladly take another one.
Yeah.
And I like the theme. That I didn't mind. This is one that has some educational value, even though you might not.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it doesn't have any information.
Yeah, but
Well, the rule book does have information about all the wonders. It's not written on the cards.
It would have been nice on the cards,
Right.
but it
But still, you can
is
do
still
some research
something
and-
you can use for educational use.
I disagree. While I did enjoy the game, I don't know that it's my favorite because it was a little hard for me to know because there is so much going on to focus on what do I need to do this turn to foil Melissa's next turn.
Mm-hmm.
He did very well at that.
Yeah, that is true. You pulled it off well.
Yeah, I would say this might be in the top 10 for me for the year. I don't know that it's going to make it in top 5, but maybe, 6 to 10.
It's up there.
Because I do love tile laying games, and I do enjoy that this one has a lot of different ways to score points.
And they have to be careful because they have Foundations of Rome in their same line, so they don't want to compete too much. Totally different game.
Totally different game.
Yeah.
Totally different.
But they had monuments in the room. So.
That's why these are wonders.
That's right, wonders and wonders.
Wonders.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our viewpoints of World Wonders from Arcane Wonders. If you have any questions, let us know down in the comments. And what's your favorite wonder? We'd love to know that. Thanks for joining us.